Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN. Today, we are going to be advocating for a re-upped suggestion of glory points and why I think it would be great to have glory points added to the game permanently and for every KVK. The fact is that we don't necessarily want to see kind of people hanging out and doing merit trading as an example, whether they are here or not. And really, just in any case, as far as for a metric that is more PvP focused on engagement and activity, that's basically what glory points were really supposed to be. And I'm not advocating for the removal of merits. However, what I am advocating for is the addition of glory points. I think the fact is that we just need some kind of metric, some kind of system that will allow for us to have the points that are being accumulated be a little bit more PvP focused. And that's what I want to talk about today. So as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you throw us out because it helps out a lot. And we did just submit a suggestion on the Discord. I'll put a link to that as well. So please go ahead and upvote it. I just did, as you can see right now, only one. But let me go over this and talk about some of the differences, but more importantly, some of the points, main points and features and reasons why I think glory points needs to be added back in. So starting off, the suggestion here is stating that we'd like to see the glory point system and leaderboards be added into every KVK and have this be a permanent stat going forward. I think that's just bare minimum. How glory points would work, right? So glory points would differ from merits in that they would show PvP points accumulated from more of actual fights compared to something like merit trading, right? GP or glory points could only be gained if or when fighting at statues or from zone 2s and beyond. Now, maybe you could argue zone 1s if they're getting invaded, but I just think to keep things clean, they can always add that in later. It's a little easier to say something like this. And then the second piece, which is probably the most important one, is when fighting an enemy kingdom and not an ally. That's very important, right? Because if they come out with a camp system, well, that makes it a little bit easier in that sense, right? Because it just already passively is applied, but you're not going to gain those points even if you can attack an ally, because you still might be able to attack an ally and gain merits, but you wouldn't be able to do it for PvP points. So that's very important. Now, what if they don't have some kind of a camp system? Well, they need to develop a way where in KVKs where you might just be selecting the allies yourself, they need to do something where it's like if you're gonna select a team or something, there needs to be some way to identify who's an ally and who's an enemy that you're going to be facing, whether that's you forming a team and then that like auto puts you into some kind of passive camp, or if the game system automatically matches you and pairs you with other kingdoms, then they need to say like, okay, well, it's going to be your team versus this team. Now, I guess that kind of goes into saying that, well, everything is just going to be some kind of camp versus camp focus. Maybe, but you could also do something where you just say like, well, this is a team A and this is a team B, right? And they just can't gain points off of each other. However they figure that out, that's fine. But the point is something like that needs to happen. So that way we can get a better gauge on, again, whose points are coming more from fighting, and then how many of those points are potentially coming from merit trading, or just have a way to lean that out via glory points. So the idea is to eliminate merit trading and friendly ally wars when it comes specifically to GP. That's the point, right? Is that these glory points should not be factoring those things in and anything else, right? That could be utilized to kind of inflate numbers, if you will, kind of like merits do. And that's just because they're a little bit convoluted because there's a number of different factors that will go into how merit points are totaled. And of course, how you can total them is probably another way to say that. So, and allow these to still be accumulated for standard merits. GP or glory points should be the standard measurement of PvP activity in a KVK, a kingdom, an alliance, and for players. They can always fine-tune it as time goes on, right? So if they need to make adjustments on how the points are accumulated, personally, I think just keep it the same way, right? The same rate that you're gaining as merits, just fine-tune it so that way you only can gain them once this happens, and you can only gain them when fighting an enemy camp or an enemy team, right? And not an ally. To me, I feel like those are at least the two bare minimum. Now, sure, maybe you could stipulate things like, well, you can't gain them if you're attacking a farmer, right? And I'm not saying I'm advocating for that, but I'm just giving an example of something where if you want to add on some additional things, okay, possibly you could. But I think at minimum, these are the two areas that we need to look at when it comes to how glory points are going to be gained. And if anyone else out there has another good idea, please feel free to let us know in the comments. So let me get into some of the important bits here, which is why would we add this feature back in, or why would we want to make this permanent? So I think number one, and we've already alluded to this a bit, but for me, it's pretty simple, right? There needs to be some kind of standard PvP metric that specifically focuses on PvP activity and engagement. Merits just doesn't do that in the most accurate way possible. And that's not to say that glory points are going to be 100% accurate, but they will very much be more accurate than merits if you're trying to look at more of a true gauge or a true accuracy or a true percentage of PvP. Number two, kingdoms can get a better gauge of their fighters and tiers they land on. And a tier, so fighters basically meaning, okay, well, who's actually going out there and doing the fighting? Who's not inflating their points? And then what range, what tier, what level do they fall on? Are they an average 5 mil, 7, 10 mil, 15, 20 mil plus seasonal player, right? This lets you get gauges on how you can better manage, how you can also develop good, if you want to come up with something like, okay, well, this is what our goals are going to be. This is what our expectations for the season are going to be. This is what they'll be for this zone, for the final zone. It gives the kingdom's management teams a lot more flexibility in being able to set these things more appropriately and also not have to worry. I can't tell you how many screenshots I've seen of people showing me conversations between management and players of saying, well, you didn't meet this goal. Them saying, okay, well, what was the goal? And saying, well, I have this amount of merits. And the management saying, well, yeah, but you ended up merit trading like 20% or 10% of your merits, right? So you're actually a lot lower. It's just, let's remove the fluff. That's the point, right? Is let's really make it crystal clear and a lot easier to discern going forward. Number three, players can better gauge their seasonal performance along with goals to hit. So it's not just on the management side or on the kingdom side, but it's also on the player side, because now you will have a better idea on how many glory points you'll actually be able to hit a season, which in a sense may almost create kind of a reset or even a soft reset in the market or we'll just say the KVK PvP landscape of what number goals are attainable versus not attainable. And that makes it a lot easier for you as a player to know, okay, well, this is about how much fighting I need to do in order to hit those goals. So I think it really is kind of a win-win all around. So it really will help you as an individual figure out, okay, well, if this is what I need to do per day, or if this is how much fighting, or man, I just need to show up for these couple main fights and I'm going to hit my minimum, or I'm going to hit my goals, or maybe you just want to exceed those. I think no matter what, having some kind of an idea and a way to personally assess and gauge what your performance gains are, whether that's you fighting on a daily basis, a couple times a week, that I believe will really help you out as an individual a lot more than you think. And we'll get a little bit more to that in a moment. Probably one of the other things I think is a great benefit to this is that it removes any, if not most, PvP inflation that comes from only having merits at the moment. And this is like we said before, where you can have people that are merit trading, whether that's against mains, against farms, anything else that you can think of that could really inflate this, that would just help out by removing said inflation, really, I would argue for the most part, right? If not hopefully altogether. Then we get to kingdoms can set better expectations for players considering migration. Very similarly to how we suggested the whole kill, deaths, and heals breakdown, and even I think I even mentioned merits as well. This is a similar aspect that is also applied to migration, is that this helps people not only save money, but it also makes it to where players can, or kingdoms can feel better about the players that are coming in, which means that they now have a higher percentage chance of being able to get more consistent and truly players that want to be there, which can only go towards boosting overall kingdom morale, which can also help with boosting player retention, which means that you might have more players in your kingdom, therefore potentially spending more money. So it's a net positive here. And so what I'm really talking about is when you are able to set expectations such as, okay, well, I can put something on my kingdom board, or I can tell players ahead of time, okay, well, this is what our glory point expectations are coming into the season, at least what our minimums are and what our hopeful goals are right throughout the season, either as a whole, what we maybe expect for you to do per zone, just depending on how much fighting we're getting. But just being able to have those numbers, those ranges, those minimums, again, those expectations transparently up front and center can really help out a lot, especially when it comes to you trying to get a little bit more quality, maybe versus quantity into your kingdom. The next one, players will have more realistic expectations on where they can migrate to. This is equally as important. If I'm a player, I want to know before I go somewhere, do you have any requirements? Do you have goals I need to be aware of? And more importantly, can I hit those goals? Do I think realistically I can? Because if I can't, then I probably don't want to end up going there just to get kicked out and have to end up spending or regaining all the amount of permits or purchasing them all over again. So again, this helps with player satisfaction on an individual level, which also goes towards overall game player retention, because now you'll be able to have a better idea and a more clear and concise expectation of what you can and cannot do depending on where you may want to go. Now, obviously, I think this can really be solved if, for example, you end up clicking, like you go to the server of the kingdom list and you're able to click on a kingdom and it has like an announcement board that pops up, which would be awesome. And then there's like a requirement area. And that would be something really cool if kings or queens could fill that out and just customize that. It could be things like, here's what our power minimum is. Here's what we expect you to gain in merits. Here's what we expect you to gain in glory points. Here's how many kills we expect for you this season. Like whatever kind of customization you want to do, something like that would be great to have some kind of an announcement board, right? Like we're willing to accept these players, or we need more infantry mains, or we need more cav mains. Having some kind of a kingdom recruitment announcement board that you can click on and it pops up for you if I'm looking at like the server list, right? If I zoom all the way out of my account and I click on the server list and I can look at all the kingdoms, that would be great if they had something like that and added into the game. Hopefully that's the next step. And then lastly, would be great to see in addition a GP breakdown of T1 through T5. And this would be, okay, well, this is how many Team 1 units I killed. This is how many glory points I got off of T1, T2, T3, T4, T5. It's more of an optional. I'm not really hard on it. I'm not like, I'm not committed. It's not the hill I'm going to die on at this point. But I just wanted to mention that because I do think it is something that could be considered. So yeah, that's where I stand. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this suggestion. I did forget to go and crowdsource this like I said I was going to try and do if I remembered. I was already writing this up and wanted to try and get it out as soon as I could. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. And if there's anything else I'm missing, just, again, I wish these were editable too as well, but, beggars can't be choosers at this point. But if there's anything that you'd like to add that you think would be something nice to hear, nice to see, something you would have liked to include, let me know in the comments below. And hopefully you guys enjoy this series where we look to add what I hope will be continued quality improvements to the game. And if there's something else that you would like me to suggest, do a video, get some awareness on, what do you think I should suggest next and why? Let me know below. That's it for me. As always, until next time, we'll catch you later.